Hello, I'm Pastor Timothy James Farrell, and I serve as lead pastor of a non-denominational church called The Tab. The Tab is located at 1845 West Hovey Avenue in Normal, Illinois. I also would like to invite you to join us in person every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. for our weekly worship celebration. You can also join us on the Tab Facebook page or the Tab YouTube channel. Here's this week's message.
Amen. How everybody doing? Well, I'm not Pastor Tim, y'all haven't noticed. Yeah, so I'm definitely happy to hear and definitely happy to have a good time to preach this morning. I just thank my pastor and Pastor Tim, and just hope y'all get something out of the message. Now, what is your spiritual gift? What is your ability? What is your talent? Everybody have a gift in something. Now, a spiritual gift is an example of words of wisdom, words of knowledge, gift of healing, gift of prophecy, and speaking in tongues. Those are some of the examples. Like I said, everybody have a gift. Somebody have a gift of playing music, an instrument. Somebody have a gift of singing, athlete, or whatever your gift is, you have a gift. Now, what happens if you don't use your gift? Now, what happens if you decide to use your gift? Now, the question I want to ask, with your gift, do you honor God? Are you just doing your gift for yourself, being selfish? Like I'm going to do it for myself? Or are you doing it to honor God? If somebody see you, they'll be like, that person right there is honor God with their gift. Now, one thing I definitely love when an athlete is talking to a reporter, and the reporter be like, how did you get your gift? How did you get your talent? And I just love hearing the athlete say, I got all my gift and talent from God. I love when I hear that. I mean, this is on national TV for the whole world to hear. I love when an athlete confesses that. God, I just want to thank you for today, and thank you for allowing me to preach this morning. And God, just open up the ears and the heart, and just hope that somebody get something out of this message, God. And I just thank you in Jesus' name. Now, the topic today is going to be your gift. Now, I'm coming out of Matthew 25. I'm going to read Matthew 25, verse 14 to 30, the parables of the talents. Again, it would be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and trusted his wealth to them. The one he gave 5 bags of gold, to the other 2 bags of gold, and in the other 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went out once and put his money to work and gained 5 more bags. So also the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole, and put in the ground and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled with accounts. The man who received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5 bags to the master. And he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with 2 bags of gold also came. Master, he said, You entrusted me with 2 bags of gold, and see, I have gained 2 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathered where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid. I went out and I hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. His master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. Well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers so that when I would turn, I would have received it back in interest. So take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who had 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have in abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. And throw the worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now, on this parable, the master, he gave each talent to each servant according to their ability. If you notice, just like a coach or a manager or even a preacher, a pastor, and they have people working under them, they are always going to give a talent to whoever ability to the person. They're not just going to say somebody only can do one thing, you're not going to give them 5 because they can't handle 5. So you always give it according to their ability. Now, because a person only can handle 1, don't mean he's less a person because the person who can handle 5. So everybody have ability. Now, the talent represent the opportunities to use our ability to serve Christ. Again, are you using your ability to serve Christ? Are you showing people your ability to serve Christ? Now, each person is born with a different ability. Again, some people can play music. Some people can play basketball. Some people can sing. Some people can preach. Everybody's ability is different. Just like the three servants in the parable. Now, one he received 5 talents. Once the other servant, he received 2, and the other one received 1. Now, with this, the most important thing you need to recognize in this one, are you faithful what you just received from God? Are you faithful? Are you using it for the right reason? Just like the servants, the one who took the 5 and the 2, they was faithful to the master. Now, let's look at this. What is a faithful servant? A faithful servant is a person who is trustworthy. Can I trust you? Just say like my kids, and I ask them to do something, and I walk out the room. Can I trust them when I come back? Can I trust them that they're going to do what I ask them to do? Trustworthy. A faithful servant is a person who will go above and beyond. A good example, the servant who got 5 talents and the other who had 2. What did they do? So once the master left, they went out at once and gained more. They went above and beyond. They could have easily said, let me just get 1 bag of gold and call it quits. No, they was like, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to get the most I can get above and beyond. A faithful servant is a person who will put others before themselves. Do you remember when Jesus was in heaven and he came down to this world to die for us? He put us before him. A faithful servant is willing to put in the work. Just say, like, I was training for the Olympics. Olympics only come around every 4 years. So that's 4 years of training. Day after day, minute after minute, hour after hour. I'm training for my event that's going to come in 4 years, putting in the work. Just like the two servants who have one had 5 and 2 talents. The master entrusted them with the talents he gave them, with the bag of gold that he gave them. Now the servant with the 5 talents, he increased 5 more. The servant with the 2 talents, he increased 2 more. Now, if you notice, after they did that, what did the master do? He put them in charge of many. Soon as they came, like, look, master, this is what I done. I gained 5 more. The other servant, I gained 2 more. The master was like, cool, I'm going to put you in charge with more. You're not going to put somebody in charge who's not going to put in the work. Luke 12:42 and 44 states this. The Lord answered, who then is the faithful and the wise manager, whom the master puts in charge of his servants to give them their food and allowance at the proper time? It would be good for the servant who the master finds doing so when he returns. I truly tell you, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. Now, putting in work. Let me give you a good example. So those who don't know Kobe Bryant, may he rest in peace. He was a basketball player, NBA basketball player. He played for the Lakers. Soon as the season was over, in the off season, you will find Kobe training, running hills, lifting weights, running, shooting 5,000 jump shots a day, whatever he had to do to get ready for the season. And then when he come back to meet with the team, he was already in shape. He was already ready to go. And what did the coach do? He made Kobe Bryant the captain. Yes, Kobe Bryant was better than a lot of athletes, but that don't mean you're not putting in the work. He made Kobe Bryant the captain. So he put Kobe in charge of many things. And one thing y'all don't realize, before they made a decision on getting somebody, they went to Kobe Bryant and asked him, how do you feel about this player? They put him in charge of many things. Now, rewards of a faithful servant. Let me break this down to you. Jesus will prepare a room for you in heaven. That's one of the rewards of a faithful servant. Another one, you will hear the words from God, well done, my good and faithful servant. You will be given more since now your service since you're trustworthy. And I love this one. You will get to share in the master's joy. All right, just think about this. Just like Pastor Tim talked about the rapture, how the church goes up in the rapture, right? What are they doing as soon as they get there? They partying, eating cake, eating ice cream. I mean, they living the life. They sitting there with Jesus, with God, enjoying the master's joy. Your abilities will be doubled. and you will be promoted. Now, just say if it's two workers. One worker was a hard-working person. They put in the work. They put in the time. And the other person was lazy. I mean, just, they not even worth a dime or a nickel or a penny. Now, it's time to promote one of them. You see one worker working hard, putting their time in, going above and beyond. But you see the other worker just being lazy. Who are you going to promote? Who are you going to give the job to? Are you going to give it to the one who's doing nothing? Or are you going to give it to the person who's putting in the time? Now, let's look at a servant who is not faithful. Now, a servant who is not faithful, they do the bare minimum. A servant who's not faithful do average work. Just like if you in A, B, C, D, F scale, you're at school. Bare minimum, average mean I'm just going to go for a C. A, I pass. But I'm not going to go above and beyond. I'm just make the C. I'm going to be average. Then also, they will cheat for success. Another thing, they're not trustworthy. You're not going to give somebody something and they're not trustworthy. I mean, somebody come ask me for $10 and they're not trustworthy, I'm not giving you my $10. Because I'm like, you're not going to give it back. I'm going to have to chase you around to get my $10. I'm not doing it. And then also, a servant who's not faithful lacks confidence. Now, I know all y'all know this one. A servant who's not faithful expects a handout. Do y'all know anybody who out there expects a handout, who don't put in the work, living off the government? I mean, it's one thing you working and you need extra help. I can understand that when you working. But you just sitting there on your butt and expect me to help you pay for all your stuff while I'm sitting here working. All right. Now let's talk about the servant with the one talent. The servant, the master gave him one bag. Now, this is the crazy part. The servant with the one talent understood his master. He understood what his master was about. He knew what his master was about. And he said, I know you's a hard man and you judge harshly. He understood that. Don't you think he was like, you know what? I feel like being lazy. I don't want to do no work, but I'm just going to put his money in the bank. I mean, that's what I would have done if I didn't want to put in no work. I'm just going to put in the bank and just draw interest. But this servant dug a hole in the ground and put it in the ground, knowing what his master's is all about. I mean, that's just like when I used to coach, I used to have athletes. I mean, the greatest talent in the world, but you couldn't get them to practice. Practice was like a disease to them. Like, practice? Yeah, practice. Coach, man, can I just go to the track meet or basketball game and play? Like, no, you got to practice. I mean, it was like they was catching a cold as soon as you mentioned practice. They like, oh, coach, my back is hurting. I'm like, did you just have play in the game yesterday? Yeah, my back's hurting from that. Now, rewards of a servant who's not faithful. You will lose the gift God gave you. your gift will be given to another. What did the master tell them? Take his talent and give it to the one who had 10. I mean, some people, that don't make any sense. You want to take somebody who only have one, take it and give it to somebody who have 10? Regret from the past. Now, some of the young kids in here, they haven't got to the age, but I have a lot of regrets from the past. When I look back, and I look back to some of the decisions that I made, to this day it still bothers me. I wish. Have you ever said this before? I wish. I wish I would have made that decision. I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have went right when I chose left. I wish. Could have, would have. I could have been famous. I would have been doing that. I could have been on TV or doing this, had this type of job. Could have. Would have. This one burns me. Ooh, this is burns. Watching others have success with the same talent that I had. That burns me. I'm cutting on the TV. Somebody who I used to compete against. And I'm sitting there watching them. I used to compete against that guy. And this dude on TV, and I'm sitting here watching him. And the last one on this one. And throw the worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Y'all already know what that's about. Now, if y'all haven't noticed, I'm a sports athlete, sports fan. And Shaquille O'Neal, he was a teammate of Kobe Bryant. And he was NBA with the Lakers. Shaquille O'Neal stood about 7'2", 7'3", about 300 plus pounds. But this guy can move like he was 200 pounds. I ain't never seen a big man move like that. Usually a big man is like just slow. I mean, when they that big, but this man has some quick feet. But see, one thing, Shaq had a problem. During the off season, you will find Shaq eating a lot of food. You'll find Shaq not working out. Then when he comes to the season, now he has to play himself into shape. I mean, this man was the most dominant player I ever seen in my life. But you notice I didn't say he was the greatest player I ever seen in my life. Now, you ask Shaq, he will tell you. He said, if I can go back and do it all over again, I would have been working out. I would have kept myself in shape. I would have been running, lifting weights, doing hills. Now, Shaq will tell you, I'm the most dominant, but I'm not the greatest. And that bothers Shaq. Now, I met some people who can sing. I met some people who can preach. I met some people who can play an instrument. I met athletic people. I met a lot of people who can do a lot of things. I met people who don't use their gift. I met people who don't sing when they know they have a voice. I know people who don't come up and play when they know they can play an instrument. I know a lot of people who don't use their talent. Now, if I stepped on some toes right now, I'm sorry. There are some people in this church who have a gift. I know some people in this church who have a gift, and they sit on the sideline like a cheerleader. How do I know that? I used to do it. I was come to church, sit in the chair, preach to me, sing to me, and I'm going home. Hey, I heard you can do this. Yeah, I can, but I'm just on here to sit on the bench, sit on the chair, that's it. I was talking about regret. I was talking about could've, would've, and success, watching somebody have success. I have 2 regrets, and it bothers me to this day. When I was an athlete, and then the drums. I remember when I was younger, my dad used to come in the room, and he'd say, son, you should be out there training. You should be out there working out. You should be out there doing that. And I looked at my dad. I said, Dad, why in the world I go out there doing all that training? All them kids who's training, I can beat them. So why would I spend my time working out? It don't make any sense to me. They do all that training, and I can get off this bed and beat them. I mean, I had God-given natural ability, talent. I mean, I can just get out of bed and handle my business, and then go back home and lay back in bed. Not knowing that was going to rear his ugly egg and bite me. So I always did average work. You couldn't even get me to practice. You couldn't get me to do nothing. So, I mean, I'll jog around. I ran track. I'll jog around. I barely broke a sweat. Had so many coaches telling me, Rocco, man, you can be better than you are. I was like, I'm good where I'm at. Until one day, I couldn't compete anymore. My college stuff was over. And I sat down, and I clicked on the TV, and I started seeing people who I competed against. Then I can remember, my daddy came to the back of the room, and he said, son, you need to start working out. You need to start doing this. That came to me then. Not realizing I wasted my talent. I should not be standing right here. I should not be. I wasted my talent. The drums. My mom knew I loved the drums. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to stare at the drums, just stare at them. So my mom was like, I'm going to have somebody teach you how to play drums. I was like, all right. So I started learning how to play the drums. And then the church my dad used to pastor at the time, some of them used to give me a hard time. Because, I was like 10. I just learned how to play the drums. And they're like, oh, you can't play. You know good and all that stuff. And so I took that to heart. So when I went up there, I was afraid. I was scared. I didn't have confidence. So what did I do? I said, you know what? I'm just going to stop playing. I'm not going to deal with this anymore. You know what? If y'all don't want to hear me, fine. I'm going to take my ball and go home. And I remember the worship group, and I told somebody, what if I didn't stop playing the drums? I mean, 30 to 35 years went by. I was like, what if I've been playing the drums the whole time? What if I didn't stop? What would I would have been? I remember when we came to this church, and I had that stare of the drums. And my wife Janelle said, Rocco, I think you need to play the drums for the church. And I was like, oh, no. No. My childhood, everything that happened in childhood with the drums came up. I was like, all they're going to tell me is I'm no good. All they're going to tell me is it's wasting my time me playing, so why would I do it? It's so funny how it all works out. So the drum set that I have at home, I got it out of the dumpster. The church I used to go to, they put them in a dumpster. I was like, what y'all do with the drum set? And they said, we put them in a dumpster. So I climbed in the dumpster getting them, not knowing why I was doing it. So I took them home. I'm like, I'm just going to play for fun. And Janelle still, Rocco, you need to play for the church. No, I'm just going to do it for fun. And COVID happened. And I'm stuck at home. And I went down and played and played and played. And every time I played, I can remember Janelle saying, maybe you should play for the church. And I played and I played and I played. And I could hear Janelle saying, maybe you should play for the church. And all of a sudden, it just came to me. I was like, Janelle, I think I'm going to play for the church. But like I said, it still bothers me because I wasted 30 to 35 years. I wasted a lot of time, just like when I was an athlete. I wasted. I didn't use what God gave it to me, so he took it away from me. I'm sitting here watching people I used to compete against. He took it away from me. Now, if you have a talent, I'm talking to the young folks in here. If you have a talent, oh yes, you're going to be afraid. Oh yes, you're going to be scared. Because you're performing or doing something in front of people. That's enough to be scary. But if God gave you a talent, use it. I don't want to hear would've, could've, I wish from you. Use your God-given talent and be faithful to God with it. This is definitely a hard sermon for me because it made me look back in the past. It made me look at the decisions I made. I mean, it was hard for me to put it down on paper. If you have talent, use it, or you will lose it. I just want to thank y'all for allowing me to come and preach this morning. I want to thank y'all for taking the time to listen to me. it's definitely an honor, especially when Pastor Tim called me and texted me and say, hey, I'm going to need you to preach this weekend. It's definitely an honor. And I definitely hope that y'all receive something from this message. I hope that it touched you and it reached you.